decision-making and how you responded today?
I think that we're all aware. I think there's hardly anybody who wouldn't be aware of the situation that unfolded in Los Angeles and the deployment of National Guard troops and U.S. Marines to that city. I have been in contact with the U.S. Conference of Mayors that has taken a very strong position that, and I think as we demonstrated this evening, that the city is capable of conducting interactions with peaceful protests, utilizing our methods to try to de-escalate them and to keep the public safe. And it was fairly clear to me that if there was no Spokane police presence, that could be used as a justification for federal National Guard or other federal agents to come in and take control of the situation. And I had confidence in Chief Hall, Chief Oberg, who was also monitoring any situations that were occurring in conjunction with this event, that our team would do their best to communicate well with the group. They knew some of the individuals personally, had met with them before, and would do their best to have the officers conduct themselves in appropriate way and do their best to come out with as good an outcome as possible. And we're very hopeful that, for the most part, that was achieved.
Do you know if the detainees have been removed and are on their way to Tacoma?
I read an announcement that they have left the building. I don't know where they're going.
An announcement from ICE? Or who did you read that announcement from?
Who read that? It was read to me.
It was just a local press release.
I think it was just local press so I'm not sure where it came from.
A question for Chief Hall. Were there any assaults of an officer tonight? And generally, one of the complaints that I heard a lot from the crowd was that officers were out there in TAC gear. Was that necessary? Was it necessary for officers to be in full tactical gear, wearing gas masks? Was there any opportunity to have de-escalated this without that?
The initial officers who arrived were are regular officers in regular uniforms, and that can be seen in a multitude of postings. As the situation continued to escalate and non-compliance continued to grow, we called in tactical teams to provide support for those officers. It's also those tactical teams who provide the chemical munitions that are necessary if that noncompliance grows into assaultive behavior. I can tell you I'm not aware of any assaults that were reported by the officers. Just watching some of the footage, I think technically there were assaults, but the officers used an enormous amount of restraint and understood that the emotion that was behind this particular event.
We obviously saw the sheriff's department there in some amount of force. There were also rumors, just in the interest of dispelling or confirming disinformation, there's also rumors that the Kootenai County SWAT team was coming in. Did you guys catch any reports of that?
Yes, they responded to our request for mutual aid. Okay. All of our tactical or SWAT units, both from the county and the city, were tied up on this event. Had some other critical incident occurred anywhere in the region, that would have been their responsibility.
So they were sort of waiting in backup in case something else happened?
Yes, sir.
Based on some reporters that we had at the scene, it seemed like it was quite a while before there was police presence on the scene. I'm wondering if you regret not being there earlier to maybe lower the tension a little bit earlier?
Well, is that directed to me specifically? Yes. Well, we were in conversation about the significance of the timing, and we were also in conversation with protesters, with city council members, with people on the ground there, just trying to get as much information as possible. It was definitely our goal to not have the situation escalate, but we were well aware that it was likely to escalate. We knew there was another protest already planned at 7 p.m., and I believe that protest joined the other one. And so the question of timing is definitely something we'll assess. Like any incident that occurs, we do a pretty thorough after-action review and check our policies and procedures and communication strategies to see what worked, what could have been done better. So we will definitely be assessing all those things as we gather all the information we can about what happened at each stage of the day.
To that point, I mean, it's not impossible that this isn't going to be the last time that this kind of protest happens.
Absolutely.
Lessons learned, how do you plan on addressing this going
Yeah,
forward?
I think it's too premature for me to say lessons learned yet, but that is exactly the purpose of an after-action review, right, Chief Oberg? She's very, been very good at making sure that we get those done. Also, Sarah Nuss in our Emergency Management Office. So we'll be thoroughly gathering all the information we can, including, as I said, I was in conversation with people throughout the afternoon just to get a variety of perspectives on what was occurring, and we will do that review and happy to talk with the press about that as we go forward, because we do anticipate, given what we've heard from the president and his administration, and what we know to be the presence of members of immigrant communities here. We have members of communities that were just learned about the travel ban that will keep members of their families from reuniting with them. So we fully intend to keep discussing, understanding our responsibilities, and also ways in which we can be of assistance.
Just one more question. Mayor Brown, I mean, over our shoulder, we're seeing some protesters trickling in outside City Hall. What is your message to those who aren't following the curfew and maybe causing a muck?
Well, I think if they're outside there, they're outside the curfew zone.
Yeah, right.
However,
Groups move.
they absolutely do, and I think my message is very consistent. We respect their right to peacefully protest and to be upset about federal policies. I have been that person who has protested federal policies, and that is a right we have. I feel strongly about it. It's the way that some changes have happened in our country, if you look at the civil rights movement. And so totally respect nonviolent, peaceful protest of the public. And I also have a responsibility as the mayor to ensure that rules, laws that we have in place in order to give people their sense of safety in our community are upheld, that property is not, if property is vandalized, that there should be consequences for that. And so that is a dialogue that we will continue to have with members of the public who are frustrated and concerned right now.
Mayor, Stephanie from Spokane News. I was just wondering, you had mentioned that protesters are coming down right now behind us, that they're outside of the curfew zone. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, there is a geographical curfew zone, which I'm a very geographically challenged person, so I'm going to have somebody else communicate those 4 boundary lines.
Thank you.
Spokane Falls Boulevard.
Go ahead, come on over, Chief.
Spokane Falls Boulevard to Boone on the north, Howard on the west, to Division on the east.
And that's from 9:30 to 5:30, and also inclusive of Riverfront Park. So that is the geographic area. And there are exceptions for people that are going to work, or to and from work. There are some other legal exceptions. We have legal here. What are the other?
People going home.
Legal, yeah,
Live in
people,
the area,
people who are,
media.
people who are going home. This is, again, this is meant to protect public safety, and we want to communicate that very clearly with people, so that clearly we don't want anybody to unintentionally violate the curfew.
Are there any charges associated if someone is in violation of the curfew or citation? What's the ramification for?
I believe there is something called a curfew violation, but I'll have to defer to legal here, to our city attorney, Mike Piccolo. Mike, do you want to?
So the provisions of the curfew is under SMC 2.02, subsections 030 and 040, and a violation of those two sections later in that chapter makes it a misdemeanor to violate the curfew or the declaration of emergency.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief.